Giddy up, let's go. The Green Light on Racing and Sport podcast, Cranbourne Cup edition for 2025. Looking forward to a big night of chasing at Sandown Park for the Cranbourne Cup on Thursday night. Always a great race, always a great night as well. And the Cranbourne Club always put on a big show as well. Last year was enormous. It was one of my favourite nights at a racetrack. This year, no exception. Nick Watson from Hawthorn, the Wizard, will be there with Nick's Kick for Cash. Plenty happening on and off the track as well. Good news too that it'll be the last Cranbourne Cup away from the home deck at Cranbourne, expecting to be back for the Cranbourne Cup in Cranbourne in 2026. So looking forward to that. But the field itself, always a dynamite field. I think this year's no exception. On this edition of the podcast, we will be taking a look at the big race, going runner by runner, having a bit of inside info with a co-host because they have a runner in the race. So it will be all happening. The Victoria Cup is the other feature race on the program. If you want the tips for the Victoria Cup for the stayers and the rest of the program, keep your eyes peeled to the Green Light on Racing and Sport channel on either Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts from, or from YouTube as well, because we will be releasing a quick tips edition with a tip in every race for Thursday night. Without any further ado, let's get into it. It's time for the big race preview. Big race preview. Well, it is big race preview time, and the good news is I'm not on my lonesome for the big race preview. Normally we head toward a special guest when it's inside info, but I thought this special guest, she's had her own podcast in the past. She's got a runner in the big one, the Cranbourne Cup on Thursday, so she's more than capable to go through the race and try and sort out the way this Cranbourne Cup might be run. I speak of Jess Hopkins. She's on the line. She's at Sandown Park on Monday night when we go to air, and Jess, you're about three or four gin and tonics in, so it should be a good record, this one.
Yeah, I don't know about special guests, but thanks, Jim. Maybe don't mention the Bendigo Cup after three or four gin and tonics, and we'll be sweet.
Yeah, that was, you said no, there'd be no media from the Jess Hopkins kennel moving forward, and I said, well, I'm not media, Jess, so you can jump on with me and have a chat. We're as relaxed as they come, but this Cranbourne Cup's pretty exciting. You've got a runner who's drawn box number 1, but before we get to that, we'll go through the heats, and before we get to going through the heats, I want to just, I guess, pick your brain, because the Cranbourne Cup being held at Sandown Park, I want to sort of reminisce on some of the great memories at the Cranbourne track itself. And for me, I went back and I thought, well, who's my favourite dog? And last week I spoke of Poro Rocker as a champ, and this week I wanted to look from a different lens, and I picked out a dog called Mighty Sprite because I think I just started calling races when he was going around, and I can't remember how many in a row he effectively won, or he won a heap of races, but this was a little 311-metre speed machine, used to just ping the lids, ended up with 46 wins out of 104 starts and over $100,000 in prize money. And yeah, he was a greyhound that I think without Cranbourne would never have had those figures, but the Cranbourne track was special to him, and he was just such an exciting greyhound to watch go around and do what he could do with that brutal speed. Do you have a favourite, being a local there at Cranny for most of your life?
Yeah, I moved down here when we were 11, I think. Oh, sorry, not we. I was 11. And funny, you mentioned him on last week's podcast. It's Poro Rocker. He's sort of my first memory of a Cranbourne Cup. First Cranbourne Cup I caught in as a 14-year-old kid. I hope you can hear me. Rob Tester's just calling the 7th at Sandown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was actually excited as a 14-year-old kid to be catching in a Cranbourne Cup. It was like I was nervous just to catch a dog of that calibre. Nana Parrot had Wiley Boy. They ran qualies back in the 90s to make it even into the heats, I think it was. Shows you how different we are these days. But yeah, Poro Rocker, he was probably, he reminds me a little bit of Smooth Plane these days.
Yeah.
So strong, so underrated.
Yeah.
I don't know what he'd have won these days, Poro Rocker, but my God, Cranbourne with that uphill, up the back straight, it really suited him. It was known as the toughest 500 in racing. And if you ever stood at the 311 boxes and seen that uphill run, you could see why. It was almost like a 600 for those dogs.
You said he was underrated. From what I hear, was he underrated whilst he raced? Because I feel like now, if you speak to anyone in greyhound racing that was around when Poro Rocker was racing, sort of I think 2006, 7 thereabouts, they all say the same thing. This dog was a machine. Like, he was freakishly talented.
Yeah, it's hard. Obviously being young, there wasn't the social media that there is these days. So Look, we had the old Greyhound Weekly, and I'm sure he was mentioned in there a lot, and the Advisor and stuff like that we used to have 20 years ago now. Geez, that makes me feel really old. So maybe, just to me, you don't hear him mentioned like he should be. As I said, he was one of the hardest chasers you'd find. He just come storming home. I haven't seen. I think you put the replay up. Did you on YouTube or something? Or
I did.
You were trying to find a link for it. I haven't actually watched it, but I'm sure he came from behind to win that.
He was second at the first corner, but he clipped the leader's heels. And this is a Cranbourne Cup field, and he just gave them windburn. And I think that's what looks so impressive when you go back and watch now. You could see just how quick he was compared to the best dogs at the time.
Yeah, those days there wasn't as much crossover of big races in each state, so there wasn't as many big races. So when you went to the country in Victoria, you ran into these superstars that were bona fide Group 1 dogs, and you'd run into them from the Warragul Cup. The Sale Cup back then was 510 metres. It might have gone up by 2006, but early on. So these good dogs were travelling around Vic country and showing people that may not get to see them, what they were capable of.
Well, look, Jess, you moved there as a young girl. Was it 11 or 14 or whatever you said? You were bloody young either way. This Cranbourne Cup, obviously this year you've got a runner in the Cranbourne Cup. Now, it's not at the Cranbourne track, but it is still the Cranbourne Cup. We had Andrew Fennell on, the manager of the club last week. He's really bullish and really confident that next year's Cup will be back at Cranbourne, which is huge news. It's so exciting. But for you, as a girl who was a catcher in a Cranbourne Cup when Paul O'Rourke won, what would it mean to you to win this year's Cranbourne Cup? Like that's full circle, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Sort of hadn't thought about it, actually. Because obviously Top Gun and Sale Cup, they're the two races I want to win. Sort of half got one. I don't fully count that Top Gun as it was the stayers. I've got to win the sprint yet. But, yeah, to win a Cranbourne Cup, as I said, Nana Pa had dogs from the time I was born, but from when we moved to the farm when I was 11, that was my job before school. I was doing the dogs. After school, I'd be going trialling at Cranbourne, catching at Cranbourne. It was second home. So, it will be a bit strange, if I do manage to win it. Certainly not expecting to, but if I win it at Sandown, it'll be strange. So I'll have to try and win it next year. It's just great news. Obviously, there was a lot of conjecture. There was meetings with the MPs. I was lucky enough to go to one of the meetings, and we were thinking of moving to Maryborough if there was a property at Maryborough that was available. If sort of Cranbourne, Terrelgan a bit less, but still, Terrelgan, if they didn't get back up and going, what was the point of staying on the eastern side of town? You've got Sandown, but our closest country track, is an hour away at Warragul or Hillsville. So, it's certainly going to make a massive difference just for even pre-training, senior Bendigo on Wednesday night. After the races, you're pre-training a pup up there because Warragul's shut for the week, and, a 3-hour drive for just to try a pup 2 go off breaking in. It's not ideal. So much rather give them 3 or 4 runs around Cranbourne before we have to head anywhere else. Yeah,
well, it's huge news that they will be back up and going. And as you say, not just as a racetrack, but as I think it'll be such a well-used trial track as well. But turning our attention to this year's Cup, Jess, we're going to go through heat by heat. By the way, is my T-shirt pretty badly, what do they call it, when you haven't ironed it? Creased?
Wrinkled.
It does look a bit wrinkled. I've just quickly grabbed it out of the drawer. I actually went to bounce with the little fella this afternoon, and my heart rate on the watch was just about overdoing it. I think I was lying down at one stage on a buddy trampoline, just about curling over. So I thought when I'd get home, I'd quickly chuck this on and would rip through the podcast. But race number 5 last week was heat number 1, and this was won by Ethanol Secret. Jumped from box number 1. I don't want to say this dog was lucky to win, but got the right run at the right time. Dr. Asher, I think you'll struggle to find a greyhound in the country right now that is going better than this dog. His effort to get as close as he did when the leader was running home, I calculated it to be a 10:45 run home from the leader, and he's taken 3-4 lengths off. I mean, and he just won a 425-metre Bendigo Cup. Dr. Asher is in the zone. What did you think of the first heat sitting there?
Yeah, I actually had a red bet in that race. I actually bet the red just hoping Asher might miss a start. And the last 50, he gave me a massive, massive scare. As you said, he made it look like Ethanol Secret was running home in 10:70.
Yeah.
Not running home in good time. And, there's not many going better. You'd think he's probably had 30 starts, not nearing 80, Dr. Asher. It's a credit to the team. I hope there's no scratching for my sake in the final.
Yeah.
That's horrible. But, yeah, as you said, to go for a Bendigo Cup win, but he'd been competing here against Bagman, Flying Zulu. He might have even been against Explicit One Night, I'm not sure. But wherever he goes, he's obviously the track record holder at Sale. But, yeah, Ethanol Secret, really good 600-metre dog. So once he landed in front, you would have sort of thought the race was over.
Yeah, 100%.
The data come up today, unfortunately not for my race, but I think Asher ran home in about 10:26 or 10:25. So
that's ridiculous.
And he's probably not, we know him as a strong dog, but you're probably not thinking he's even that strong. So that was a really good heat.
Just got that data in front of me here, Jess. GRV /race data is, well, that was roughly the website. I think I buggered that one up, but you'll find that if you type in GRV race data to Google, hit the line at 63.1 kilometres per hour, that's legitimate speed. And yeah, the last 100 metres, 573. We've got a greyhound that we're trying to get up to 700. He goes 580s home. Tim Zoo's sort of mid 580s. This is off the charts from Dr. Asher last week.
Yeah, I think that would be a record. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but she's it'd be close. I don't know if Patch has got it.
Jim
any
hasn't.
Records there or something like that. No, Jim hasn't. Neither's Jess.
Nah, Patch might though. We'll get Patch on the phone. Anyway, that was the first heat. As you said, for your sake, Dr. Asher doesn't need to get into the field, but if he does, he'll
sorry to the command.
They've had their country cup win at Bendigo. Race number 6 was heat number 2, and Nigel De Vere's a greyhound, Jess, that I think is just progressing in the right way. Speaking of run homes that were off the charts, poor Ike, they did have a bit of a tailwind bringing them home. Well, if 573 was a record in the GRV data, it got broken by poor Ike in the next race. 572, this dog ran home. I mean, what the bloody hell was going on, Jess?
Funny you say that the wind was bringing him home. Just as the Cranbourne Cup started, the wind stopped at the heats and the rain came down. Literally,
really?
Each race was at the boxes. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Between the races, it was perfect, a little bit windy, but then when the races were on, the rain came. It was for each heat, literally, as I was standing under the covers. I think I mentioned, poor Ike, he was, in my memory, as a dog that stormed home. So 5...
That's
quick. 572.
Yeah, 572, 573 was Dr. Asher. And, well, Cheeky Chompers ran 578. Your runner, Xavier, ran second last in that race and went 579. So, tell you what, the data, poor Jason Adams, when he put this together, his head would have been exploding, I reckon, because he loves his data. But, yeah, Nigel De Vere's a greyhound who's just progressive for Daniel Powell. Now, third heat, this was one that I reckon you might have enjoyed. A very, very good second with Canya Mayhem, your boy. Cole, that kid, won the race. He went 499 to the peg, 1864. Now, I guess from your perspective, you probably don't expect Cole that kid's going to reel off those sections on the regular, and therefore your boy's run from box number 5 was outstanding.
Yeah, I was wrapped with him. Coming off the back, I thought it was a chance to run Cole that kid down. He was just deciding whether to go right, left, right. Being a baby, he's still not sure really what he's doing when he's behind dogs. So, but then you look Cole that kid. As I said, unfortunately, the data hasn't worked for that race, but 10:39 on the night was the run home. So I don't think we're going to be running 10:30 to run any dog down. I think, 10:40 is about what Mayhem can run home in. But he was a bit stiff. He's run 5:01 and wasn't even in the top 2 to the first mark. He was third. So,
must be pleasing that he went 5:01, wasn't in the top 2, and yet he still got as close as he did running the time he did.
Yeah, especially first go in the big company. Obviously, he'd run against Vincent Barr the week before, but then there was even more depth in this heat. We probably got lucky with the heat we drew. I wouldn't have wanted to be in the next heat. That was, I know I haven't got time when we talk about it, but geez, that was hot, that heat. I just couldn't be happier. I'll talk about him more when we talk about him later on, about sort of his idiosyncrasies as a puppy and stuff. He was running these times early as a pup. So that might shocked me a little bit. He went those 4 or 5 starts where he's running 5:15s and 5:20s, but now since he's came back from Adelaide, I think he's run 5:05, 5 dead, 5:03 and 5:01 or something around that. So if he can consistently do that, it makes my job a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, he's doing everything right. One thing I've noticed with him, and I noticed from last week, he jumps and he sort of just doesn't crash to the outside, but he just sort of gives himself a bit of room and sort of swishes the tail, and then he comes down to the rail after that. Is that something you found that he does in just about every race start, or was it more obvious last week?
Funny, his third start at Bendigo, he had the 5 and he cleaned everything up inside him trying to get to the fence. So it has surprised me what he's doing now, but he's never drawn box 1 or 2. He's used to drawing off. So I think he's sort of a little bit like Canya All Class early on. They just drew off that much. It pretty much rejigged their racing patterns. So hopefully when he draws inside a few times, he will stop doing that. But that's what was really frustrating during wide so much with him. You could tell he was just starting to learn to stay off the track. He had the 6 here. I think that was his first run back from Adelaide, and he did move across. But then the last 2 weeks, he's jumped and moved off a bit. So there was, I think, box 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, and 4 were left. And I wanted, when Tribeca drew the 3, I wanted the 4. Because obviously like in the middle, but then when Tully drew the 2, had a couple of the punters by me saying 1. I was like, I'll take the red now because Tully will at least hold her line and give him a little bit of room that at the moment, he seems to want. And as I said, early on he was just mad for the rail. Even in a one-on-one trial at Sale against Canya Ultimate, he just literally, I put him on the outside of her and he just come straight across and gave her a whack, which shocked me. So as I said, first few starts he just wanted the fence, but sort of changed his complete style in the last probably 7 or 8. So hopefully that changes.
It's a great insight to this particular boy. And I think he could use box number 1 if he does still want to switch it out a little bit. It could almost be tactical that he pushes the rest of the field out and then he can cut back and go and he might be 3 or 4 lengths in front and the Cranbourne Cup's his. That's what we're hoping. Or, as you say, Jess, flip side is he just comes out, hugs the rail like you know that he can and he might be able to lead all of the way that way. You mentioned Mapunga Tully now. You said you didn't want to be in this heat. They've ended up running 29.61, but there was pressure aplenty at the first corner. Lakeview Emily just couldn't get past Mapunga Tully and there was a little bit of drama sort of mid-section where they came together and at the end Mapunga Tully got the job done. What did you make of it when you sit there, you've qualified a runner effectively. You were obviously relying on being one of the 3 quickest seconds. You'd have been happy you saw 29.61 first, but what did you make of the race itself?
Sort of, I was worried that might happen, not for me, of course, but for the spectacle, because it wasn't just those 2 in the race. That was a very, very good heat. So, unfortunately, they sort of disadvantaged each other. But, look, I wouldn't look too much into the time. If you're thinking of not backing Mapunga Tully on Thursday night, I'd just be wiping that. She's a superstar. So she showed that during the carnival in early part of the year. Unfortunately, she injured herself in Perth, but she's come back. She only had 2 runs, but I thought she was quite good. The run home was still fine. Obviously, just their back section was a long way off what they would usually do. So she certainly, probably the whole field is hard to beat, but certainly going to be very hard to beat on Thursday night. But hopefully, she can help us. She sort of likes the middle of the track a little bit as well, not wide. Just the middle. So hopefully even if she can just move out to, say, box 3 and give us a little bit of room, that would be lovely.
Well, the last heat, Tribeca defeating Flying Zulu, and I just feel there's a few big race wins in this dog, Tribeca, because he's got blistering speed. Showed that from box number 4. He went 5:03, 18:65, but he does want to go to the rail really hard soon after the jump. And that's the key with him. If he can cross and he finds the rail, he's going to be so hard to get by. But if he happens to come out, have a bump with Mapunga Tully, well, it makes it really hard for him in the final. What did you think, firstly, of Tribeca, secondly, of Flying Zulu, who I thought did a pretty good job to stick on with Tribeca, who had the first run at the stumps effectively?
Yeah, I thought being impartial was a fantastic race to watch. When I seen them 2 lob first and second, I wasn't too happy. I'd rather not be meeting them on Thursday night. But as you said, Tribeca, he's probably in the same boat as my dog, where the young ones and Nigel DeVere on the way up. Whereas Flying Zulu's the superstar of the last 18 months. I mean, there's probably, I'm going to say superstar a lot, but there's probably 5, 6, 7 of them around at the moment. So, you're winning over $1 million. You can't be called anything less than a superstar. So, I think, Flying Zulu's the superstar. So, he's certainly one of the best. But, as you said, Tribeca, he's probably in the same boat as my dog, where the young ones and Nigel DeVere on the way up. Whereas Flying Zulu's the superstar of the last 18 months. I mean, there's probably 5, 6, 7 of them around at the moment. So, you're winning over $1 million. You can't be called anything less than a superstar. So, but yeah, for Tribeca to hold him off. He didn't crash as bad on Thursday night. Obviously, off box 4, I sort of thought he may take Flying Zulu at the race early. He went across, obviously, on the first turn. They had a decent battle early. So, to still run 29.17 or whatever it was with pressure going the first turn is a good effort from a young pup. And, I mean, Flying Zulu, he's never gonna shirk the task. He's drawn box 8, obviously, but he was pretty good in the Brisbane Cup off the pink. Or out wide. I think he had the pink. He's had it a few times in decent races. And, look, he'll be coming across. As you said, if, say, the 2 can move off a bit, hopefully it helps us. But, I mean, he's run 28.84 at Sandown, which is as good as they go. And I remember that night watching him run. I thought he was running 29.10 because the track wasn't that quick. So if he run 28.84 on that track that night, he's probably not stiff to break the track record.
Hey, I love the passion you have, Jess, for the sport. You can see that you just enjoy watching the best dogs go about their business, and it must be a great thrill to know that your boy's in amongst the best dogs going around in the Cranbourne Cup. We'll go through the box draw now. Number 1 is Canya Mayhem, trained by your one and only Jess Hopkins. Number 2 is Mapunga Tully, 3 Tribeca, 4 Nigel DeVere, 5 Colac Kid, 6 is Ethanol Secret, 7 Poor Ike, they're the 2 outsiders, Flying Zulu, box 8. The 9, Dr. Asher, and just having a quick look at early markets, he's actually the second favourite for the race. So if he gets in, he's going to make his presence felt. Number 10 is Poor Fabian. Now, I guess the first thing we look at, Jess, is a speed map type of discussion to see how you think the race might be playing out with Canya Mayhem drawn box number 1. Do you think he can lead and go all of the way?
If he jumps like he has been, he can. Obviously, as I said, he's never had box 1 or 2, so whether that might bring him undone the first time. Obviously, they almost see that lure from the red. That can bring dogs out, of course, too. So, look, Tully, she's most of the time very reliable early and runs low 5s. Tribeca, obviously. Nigel DeVere's been jumping. Any big race, there's going to be a charge of the light brigade to the first turn. That's why box 1 generally is a good box, because you can push up and you're not doing as much work as the others. They've got to run a length quicker than you early to cross you. So just hopefully he can hold them out and have his head in front of him and they don't check him, because he still doesn't really know what he's doing. He clipped off heels here the other week when he probably shouldn't have, and that's the only worry I have, really. But we were talking to the owners last week when he drew the 5 again, and I think that was his 5th in his first 15 starts, and I was like, some of the others have been drawing the red. I'd love it if he could. And then to draw it in the Cranbourne Cup, I'm certainly... As I said, I know I might want to move off a bit, but I'm not knocking it back.
It's exciting stuff. Who do you see as the danger when you go through those 7 rivals, or maybe 9 rivals? I know Dr. Ash is obviously right up there. Who do you see as the biggest threats with the way the draw's played out?
Probably Tully. I think it depends on how she begins with Tribeca, because they might hold the key to the race in a way. You're probably not going to be able to cop a decent whack early and still win the race, because they're pretty even, these dogs. But yeah, look, I'm scared stiff of Flying Zulu off the pink, that he might spear out and just come straight across them all and do what he can do, really. So, I mean, look, I'm overlooking the dog that beat me. I didn't even mention him there, and he beat me fair and square. So he was good in Adelaide, Colac Kid as well. So he's obviously back in some really good form. Whether those Adelaide boxes have helped both of us, because he's come back and flown out, and mine's come back and forgetting well. But yeah, I think at the moment go with the 2 proven Group 1 dogs. But it's not knocking any of the others. Mapunga Tully, obviously the Australian Cup winner. And sorry, someone's car alarm's gone off right there. I hope it's not mine. And
it's not Cranbourne, Jess.
And Flying Zulu off the pink. They're the I'll lean to them too at the moment. And interestingly, I think they're both around $6 in the market, which I do find a little bit strange. But look, it is a very, very even race. Even, as you said, Poor Ike running home 5.72 and he's the outsider of the field. So any trouble and he'll be there to pounce.
You do make a very good point. Look, my tips for the Cranbourne Cup, I am going with 1, Canya Mayhem. My arm's twisted. I've got Jess on the podcast. I have to tip it. But you don't want me to tip it, because then I'll probably get it beat. But I reckon I'm finding a bit of form as a tipster, as a punter. So 1, Canya Mayhem on top. I just envisage a way that if he can hold out Tribeca, hold out Mapunga Tully, he's definitely a good chance. He's the race favourite, so I'm not... Yeah, I'm not going 2 bananas there, tipping number 1. For second, I've gone with 3 Tribeca. I reckon he's the biggest danger because if he hits the start, he will be carving across. He will apply some pressure. For third, I've gone number 7, Poor Ike. I just think this could be an SRM top 4 play. He's not going to go with the blistering speed, but he will just flop out, drop to the rail and play for luck. And for fourth, probably Flying Zulu, but you've sort of got me thinking Mapungatully because you made a really good point before that the run home was still good in that race. They ran home in 10.50, and I think you do have to put a line through the midsection because they were packing up. But at this stage, I'm leaning to Flying Zulu for 4, just ahead of Mapungatully. But as I said, I feel awful leaving out Nigel De Vere. Ethanol Secret, I think, I'm not going to say can't win it because whenever you say that, they do bloody win it. Colac Kid as well. Like they're all chances, but that's the joys of a Cranbourne Cup, Jess. It's good prize money. It's a great race. It's got a long history in the sport, and trainers want to win it.
Yeah, exactly. It was a little bit of an afterthought for us. We were going to Geelong Derby with ours. Then I sort of thought, he's going well around these 2-turn tracks. I know he was a grade 3 here now, grade 4 at Meadows, but just wanted to keep him in his rhythm. He was even just going to have the week off, but actually called up Peter Jovanovic, who looked after him in Adelaide, and sort of thought at home is the chance to give him a crack at the bigger boys instead of leaving him for the Adelaide Cup after the Derby. So, and he's proven that was probably why I was so happy after the run. Just that all the way along, I thought this dog's pretty good. Even talking to the Mint boys before the Sandgrover, I was like, I've got another one for you. And they said, who is he? I said, he hasn't raced yet. And I know he didn't run blistering time early on in his career anywhere, but he's always shown me that he's pretty good. And he hadn't had a 500. He hadn't been at the boxes at Sandown when he came here and went 29.43. So I've always known he's capable of going a hell of a lot quicker. And he's getting there. He's getting there. Each week he's improving. He's maturing. He's still got the build of a 15-year-old kid, but hopefully that comes over the next 6 months.
Yeah, he's 29 kilos, I see, Jess. What do you do with a dog like him? Do you chuck him in the gym? Is there a way to bulk him up, or is that just him? He's just thin and maybe he can run distance.
Well, it was a very funny story. So he went to John Bosnich's after breaking in, and I went to just a spell for 3 weeks. I went to pick him up, and I said, who's this? He goes, this is your dog. I said, what? Because I've never had a small Bernardo dog.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, okay. And for any of the Blues fans out there, he's blue, so he's called Sammy Walsh. But yeah, he was actually, I think, 28 when I got him, or 27.9. So he has bulked up a little bit, but it's just, he's little. That's all. You know, he's never going to be much bigger, and it's not stopping him. He's got the heart. He's a little bit of a rat bag. He's that happy. He tries to jump on people, but that's about the only problem he's got is being a bit too happy at the moment. He's just want him to just calm down 5% in the next 6 months, and yeah, he'll be the perfect dog.
Well, things are looking bright. You can see the glistening in your eye about this boy, Canya Mayhem. I reckon he's heading definitely in the right direction. Jess, just before we wrap up, I guess a lot of people would probably sit there and go, well, Jess has had some phenomenal success with these Canya dogs. Now, how does that come about? How did it come about? And is it going to continue? Because you've had Canya All Class, Canya Ultimate in a Bendigo Cup, and now this boy, Canya Mayhem. You're having a decent run with these Canya dogs.
Yeah, Canya Ultimate's as good as Canya Mayhem. She actually beats him in any trial
Really?
they go together. She'll head to town again soon. Just in the maturity, she unfortunately decided to miss a start, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, there's not much between them at all. And yeah, look, it's true. Nick Lally, he's got the contacts with the Canya Kennels, and he gets the videos of them breaking in. Whether that will continue, I'm not too sure. We haven't had a couple of the recent ones, but I think he spoke to Jess a few weeks ago, and because I've just bought a pup of my own, I might, whether it's getting reared where it is now, or it'll head up to the Canyas, because every dog I have from them, it's well handled, happy, great in the kennels. They just do a good job. And obviously, yeah, the breeding and stuff like that helps, but they're well reared and well looked after from when they're born until they head to the breakers, which is a massive help to a trainer, as you know, when you're getting a 15-month-old pup and it's not trying to slip the collar, it's not ripping its bed. They just seem to all have good habits. So yeah, anytime I can get one, I'll have happily have one. As you said about Canya Mayhem being little and a distance runner, his brother goes all right. Canya Erupt.
Very good.
Yeah, he's a real nice dog. So he might take over from Canya All Class, I think, that dog.
Yeah, well, I think Canya Up could win the Bold Trees this year. I know he got beat the other day at Shep, but his run-home data over 5 and 600 metres extraordinary. And the good news is, for a plug like that, I reckon Jess will give you 10% off the next purchase at the Canya Kennels. All right, Jess. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. As I let you go, Canya All Class is your Group 1 star. You are a Group 1 winning trainer because of this dog. He won the Top Gun Stayers last year. How's he trekking along, and when do we expect to see him racing? What's the plan for the next couple of months with Canya All Class, the non-Timu edition?
Yes. Look, to be honest, there's no plan at the moment. We're just trying to get him right. He's had some real issues since his last start, and still not to the bottom of them. And it's 8 weeks now. So look, I know he got invited to Top Gun. Whether he'd have got a run in the race, we can't even accept it. So yeah, I'm hoping Melbourne Cup. Look, I'm very blessed to have a dog that I can bring back and put him over 500. As you know, if I take him up to Bendigo, run 23.50 or 40 in a trial, so I can, if he can run 5 dead like he did in the trial here in the Melbourne Cup, I'll faint before he even goes past the finish line. But yeah, I'd say if you're going to see him at all, it'll be in the Melbourne Cup. We've obviously got to somehow get him ready for a prelude first, but we won't push him.
Yeah.
We'll see, and then the Sale Cup. It's 9 weeks away, I think, the heats, or maybe a bit longer because it's a bit later this year, the heats. So that's the main aim, but at the moment, I honestly don't know. I don't know. So we just got to get him right first. And yeah, it's been very frustrating. Been very, very frustrating just getting back up to 700. And look, I don't think we'll see him over the distance again. It wasn't an issue really with that. He's just hurt himself, and thankfully not bad, but it's just taking a long, long time to heal. So yeah, whether. At the moment, I'm just hoping to get him back to the track. So, yeah, just not sure when that will be, but it definitely won't be before a Melbourne Cup prelude and into a Melbourne Cup heat, if it's even then.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's a great insight for those, especially who want to have a play in the all-in markets. It might be better having a little dollar each way on Canya All Class in a Melbourne Cup than a Bold Trees. And maybe we can just back the Timu edition, which is the dog we train, Nitrous. He's about half a second, maybe a bit more slower than Canya All Class, but he sort of hits the line the same way. So I've got the Timu version at home. Anyway, Jess, great chatting with you. We appreciate your time on a Monday night. You're sobering up so you can drive home anyway, so it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I'm all good. All good. No, thanks for having me on. I'm sure people are sick of this bogan voice, but hopefully you have to hear me after Thursday night again.
Yeah, good on you, Jess. All the best. We're cheering for you here.
Thank you.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.